I've memed a lot on PUBG the last couple of days, but I figured it's time to give credit where credit is due. What's up, guys? I want to be clear, this is not an I'm Camp PUBG or Team PUBG video. This is not straight up Fortnite hate. That little clan war between different games is so immature and stupid that I just can't even. I'm just someone who enjoys playing enjoyable games, and that's what they both are to me. But I think it is fair to break down what some of the better aspects are about each game. Even if it isn't apples to apples, they have a lot of crossover players / audience. Many of the mega Fortnite streamers were PUBG players first, including Tfue, who's one of the best pro Fortnite players, and Ninja, obviously the biggest name in gaming right now. So like I said, even though I memed a lot on PUBG the last couple of vids, I did not once say I hate it or deny it was a good game. I have nothing against anyone that still enjoys it or prefers it, and this video should highlight exactly why. I will be releasing the opposite of this video later today, listing reasons why Fortnite might be better than PUBG, because I just like having this sort of dialogue or comparison, and it's rare to find it done in a civil manner anymore. Okay, so if you saw my PUBG Good Old Days music video, there's obviously a lot of memorable moments in PUBG that aren't exactly quantifiable or able to be categorized in any way. Just lump all of those into a fourth bonus reason called good times. But starting out with number 3, I have gunplay. Now, I side with many players not currently happy with the SMG DMR meta in PUBG following the recent recoil nerf. However, when comparing to Fortnite, the gunplay in PUBG is much more enjoyable. For one, you do have first-person perspective with a lean or peek mechanic, which to me makes gunfights feel 1,000 times better, more intense, more precise. You also have controllable or masterable recoil patterns versus random bloom, which by the way, I say recoil patterns as in global behavior of the gun, not in the same way as say Counter-Strike's patterns. But you know exactly what your gun is going to do when you pull the trigger. It is possible to master that recoil, and you can be certain your shot is going to land right on your iron sight or red dot whenever you're aiming. It's just obviously there's recoil that will move that sight around. There's no mix of hit scan and projectile weapons in PUBG. Each weapon has a bullet speed whose lead time can be mastered, and sniping in PUBG is so much more satisfying, in my opinion. Sniping is cool in Fortnite too, more trick shot friendly, but their projectiles are large, slow by comparison, and have this sort of lobby trajectory. I don't really know how to explain it, but if you've played both games, you know what I'm talking about. It feels like I'm lobbing a sniper bullet out there instead of just sniping. Now, I know Fortnite has improved a lot with more accurate weapons and first shot accuracy, but in PUBG, almost the sole focus is on gunplay. If I catch someone running through a field next to me, I can accurately gun them down. In Fortnite, maybe you can, but you're completely subject to the RNG of Bloom, and by that time, they've built, which then forces you to abandon aiming and build also. It's cool the plays you can make, but there's very little emphasis in Fortnite on gunplay. In fact, you will be punished for trying to commit to shooting someone like that. Alright, on to point number 2, which is intensity. PUBG's intensity is next level by comparison. Now, just know that if you exclusively play one game or the other, you will naturally care about that game more, and that will result in it seeming more intense. A few minutes or a couple rounds of the other game will be a more casual experience no matter what. In that regards, I understand some will think Fortnite is more intense, but I feel like I've played my fair share of both and immensely care about what happens late game enough to say that PUBG leaves me with shaky legs, heart racing, hand sweating far more often than Fortnite does. And I can testify that PUBG jump scares Hannah at least 3 times a night when we're off stream just focused on try-hard gameplay. Fortnite jump scares exist but are pretty few and far between because you've got that realism aspect working in your favor in PUBG. A lot of people prefer it mainly because of that, but the more realistic world along with intense bullet impact attacks, whose insane aim punch throws you off target as blood is flying, not to mention grenades and explosions leave your ears ringing as the sound around you slowly fades back into existence. All of that just makes for really intense fights. Not to mention, the stakes are pretty high. If you're caught out in the open or get tagged by a Kar 98, there's no just building cover. There's no bounce pads or rifts or any way to safely or immediately disengage or protect yourself. You get in a fight that you can't get out of, everything is on the line and you have to commit. If the final zone is forcing you to move from cover, well, you best buckle up and land your shots, because that's the only chance you have at surviving. There's no Papa Fort here. All of that being void of the cartoony atmosphere keeps this game extremely intense, and of course that's just me. I want an adrenaline rush, but others might prefer the other game for the very things I mentioned here. Now, moving on to point number 1, and I believe this is the biggest separating factor of these two games. This is what separates PUBG from Fortnite, and in fact, I think Choco Taco was the first one I've heard point this out exactly, and that is the tactics or strategy. Now, hold up. This is a hard one to phrase because obviously there are per se tactics and strategies in Fortnite. In fact, a lot of the general BR tactics I picked up from PUBG carry over, but what I'm saying is the decision-making process is huge in PUBG. Moving from cover to cover, rock to tree as you rotate is extremely important. Remembering the flow of given areas of the map is important. Timing your rotation perfectly is important. In Fortnite, you could basically just spam jump straight through any part of the map as you wish and instantly throw up a wall if the situation gets sticky. S.K.W.A.D has said it before, Fortnite comes down to straight up skill, your ability to build quick and combo different items and weapons, whereas PUBG allows much more room for long-term strategies, careful movements, and intentional positioning. I know that sort of gameplay, borderline open world milsim in some situations, definitely caters to some people's desire in a game, versus the spammy barrel stuffing that happens in Fortnite. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the topic. Just to review, you've got the gunplay, the intensity, and then the tactics or strategy. I know everyone is going to have different opinions on this, so I would love to discuss it down in the comments below, especially if I'm missing something. Both games are good for different reasons, and I really wanted to lay out those reasons for anyone that's trying to pick a game right now. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoy civil discussions like this. I felt it important because so many are caught up in the immature arguing with this topic that it almost feels like we're never allowed to discuss these games in relation to each other or weigh the pros and cons. But now that this video's done, the next one will be the reverse side of this conversation. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here to catch that one, and I will see you guys later.